So this happened about 7 o'clock last night. The manhunt continues this morning. What's the latest?
Marcia, as you might expect, panic and fear running through the northeastern part of the United States, Maine's second largest city, descending into chaos last night when the shooting first erupted. And as you mentioned, this manhunt continues at this hour, more than 12 hours after the shooting first occurred in Maine. Now let's set the scene and show you where this is. Lewiston, Maine, not even very far from the Canadian border. Looking at the maps, it's about a 10-11 hour drive from Toronto, and even closer from Montreal, about a 4 to 5 hour drive. And here is the map of the two locations: Shemengi's Barn Grill and Spare Time Recreation, a bowling alley. Gunfire rang out at the two locations, separated by less than 7 kilometers on the other side of town. And witnesses reported at that bowling alley that it sent people panicked, that they scrambled towards the back of the pins where the pins are collected and up into the machines just to get away from some of this gunfire when shots rang out. Let's walk you through a timeline of how this occurred to really set the scene. Around 7 p.m., 2 shootings are reported in Lewiston with multiple casualties. Around 8 o'clock, the local sheriff's department releases photos of the armed suspect. Just before 9 o'clock, around 8:53, Lewiston police identify the shooting locations as that restaurant and bowling alley. At 9:17, Lewiston police released the image of a white vehicle of interest. At 10:52 last night, Robert Card is named a person of interest in the shootings, and around 11:30 in the evening, that vehicle of interest is found in Lisbon, about 8 miles from Lewiston, but that person of interest remains at large. According to a police bulletin that was circulated to law enforcement, that identified the shooter as 40-year-old Robert Card. We have not gotten exact information in terms of the number of deaths or injuries from law enforcement at this time, but with at least 16 confirmed dead and many more injured, this is being called a mass casualty situation. Local hospitals have called in as much staff as possible. Lewiston is the second largest city in the state, but only about 40,000 people, so not a huge population. So you can bet for these hospitals, this is a significant situation where they will likely need all hands on deck. And we have also seen a significant police presence outside those hospitals. Here's what we heard last night from the state's public safety commissioner, as well as more from that witness we heard just a few moments ago.
We have literally hundreds of police officers working around the state of Maine to investigate this case, to locate Mr. Card, who again is a person of interest and a person of interest only. And we'll continue to gather information so that we can bring the suspect to justice. And
I don't know how to explain it. I don't think you're supposed to see that in real life. I heard the first one, it was probably 15 feet behind me. I mean, it was close. Very close. But I just went there, just to bowl by myself, and yeah, I wasn't even there 10 minutes.
So, Marcia, as the investigation continues, of course, the main point for people in the area right now from law enforcement is that this manhunt is continuing at this hour. So they're telling people in Lewiston and several other surrounding cities and towns to stay home, shelter in place, and only contact law enforcement. Go out if you know that it's safe, and contact law enforcement if you see anything suspicious, or of course can spot this person. But you're being urged to stay away from this suspect. He's considered armed and dangerous, and contact 911 with any more information for those people in the area. So quite a dynamic situation right now, still more than 12 hours, Marcia, after the shooting first happened.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to that photo of the suspect, Scott, because police were quick to put that out. They were quick to post it last night. Law enforcement want people to be able to see this man's face in case they know him, and as you are reporting this morning, get in contact with them. And Scott, in terms of the actual death toll, I know it's been fluid overnight. At one point it was 22, now it's 16. We're going to hear from law enforcement later this morning, are we?
Yeah, we're expecting an update from law enforcement later this morning, so we might be able to get an updated death toll and a more focused number on the amount of people who are injured in this situation. What we're learning, though, at this time, what we do know about this apparent suspect is that 40-year-old Robert Card, of course, is considered armed and dangerous as this manhunt continues. He's apparently a firearms instructor trained by the military and believed to be in the Army Reserve. according to a state bulletin that was circulated to law enforcement last night as they began their search. And as we continue to show you his photo, this is the photo, as you mentioned, that local law enforcement in the area want people to see. And of course, if they recognize this suspect, to call 911 right away and do not approach him for any means necessary. But according to the state bulletin that was circulated, he was recently committed to a mental health facility, and that was just this past summer. Multiple law enforcement agencies are now involved, as you might expect. The FBI sending dozens of agents and other staff from across the country now to the northeastern part of the United States. ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms on hand as well, Homeland Security, and of course local, county, and state law enforcement are on scene as well. And Marcia, we're also learning that neighboring states are also on high alert. I want to point out that there has been no specific threat to neighboring states, but of course in this portion of the United States, there are several states that are very close together. So of course, neighboring states are also on high alert. Their law enforcement agencies are keeping in contact with those in Maine and specifically in this area of Lewiston. So several law enforcement agencies and several states on high alert this morning.
Okay.
Marcia, as this manhunt continues.
Scott Hurst for us.